Okay. Thanks. Um, as I had said, we have two public hearings and the two new applications. So the first application and associated public hearing, Joseph Trucini. Again, if you just want to give us a quick review of what you're asking us.
We are trying to put an addition on our home. We needed variance, the variance for side property distance, whatever you call it, because we don't have enough space on the side of the house. We've had the DDC approval, we've gone through all, I submitted all the plans. This all happened last fall, and then I had to have you put it on hold because we were away for the winter, and we just took it up again last month. But it's to put basically a 10 by 26 foot addition on the easterly side of our home, where by the existing fence, there is 19 feet 4 inches of space, but by the survey, there is less.
Okay, and this was the more recent survey that,
Yes, this was the more recent survey.
okay.
Again, the fence has been there for 25 years. It's been the established property line for years and years and years, but the survey says it's, the fence isn't on my,
Okay,
it's on a right of way to the lake.
so, and what was the number of the, so I did see you provided us with the DEC,
Yes.
approval. Thank you. It looks like they give you 2 years to,
No, they originally gave me 6 months, and then I asked, they gave 6 months or a year. They originally gave me 6 months, and then when I had to postpone it, they extended it to the 1 year, which brings me to October 25th, I believe, of this year. And I don't know if we're gonna get permission, or if we're gonna get permission, if it's gonna get built by then. So I may have to ask them for another extension.
okay, well, again, what I looked at here, it said it will expire on October 22nd, 2025.
All right, well, maybe I misread it, but I thought they told me when I was talking to the woman at DEC that we could get a 6 month or a 1 year. That's what they told me.
Okay,
So, I didn't really, in all honesty, look at the dates they put on the paper. But they told me it was 6 months or a year.
okay, but for our purposes, the main thing
As
is.
long as that's what the date is on there, I'm good.
Yes.
Right.
I mean, had they ruled otherwise, then we would have to have taken that into account, so. So,
The fence is effectively blocking and using the right of way, is that?
No, it is not blocking anyone. It's just kind of cutting the right of way narrower than it would normally be. There's still access to the lake. The two people that I have spoken to that have on their deeds access to the lake on that right of way have said, this is how we bought our property. This is how we bought it. We're not going to give you a problem. This is the right of way as we know it when we bought our property. And the house that is next to me on that side has been vacant for almost 3 years now. The fellow passed away and the estate still hasn't been settled. I've tried to get hold of I've gone to the town a couple of times to try to find out what bank has the house, and the town doesn't have any records of the bank having anything to do with the house. So I'm at a stalemate there, so.
North of the property?
Yes,
hopefully the request comes down to. So we're just refreshing the fact that with the more current survey, then you're allotted 22 feet but you're gonna be about 3 feet from,
According to the new survey, yeah, 3.5 feet from what is technically the property line will still be 9.5 feet from where the fence is,
right,
which, and then again, there's supposed to be a 10-foot right of way before the next property. So it's very confusing. And I understand. I
okay.
don't understand.
But
because-
for our purposes, then, we would be looking at an 18-foot variance.
I guess, I don't know how you calculate.
Well, it just, yes, I think that's what we came, normally, the setbacks are 40 feet, but because it's a pre-existing undersized lot, it's narrower. So then you're basically allowed 22 feet, but because the newer survey actually showed you to be now closer, because you based your original construction on the previous defense, I guess.
Based it on that, and that fence, again, I said it's been there for over 25 years. And the house was completely rebuilt from the ground up. The building permit was drawn on it in the year 2001. All right, it was completely built from the ground up, or rebuilt from the ground up in 2000 by a 2001 building permit, accepting the fence as the property line.
Okay. And again, you're just expanding the existing footprint of that initial construction. Okay.
Yes.
This makes sense for those of us that were here last time, and again,
I remember it.
um, that being said, any other questions? Okay, I'm gonna make a motion that we open the public hearing regarding this variance request.
Make a motion.
Take notes. Okay. Jonathan? Hi. Dan?
Aye.
Matt? Aye. Okay. The public hearing is now open regarding the variance request. Is anybody here interested in? Yeah.
We wish them good luck.
Thank you.
I will be close the public hearing.
Thank you. Okay. All second. Jonathan?
Aye.
Me? Aye. Dan?
Aye.
Matt?
Aye.
Charles? Okay, the public hearing is closed. Run through the findings. Okay, the first being, whether an undesirable change would be produced in the character of the neighborhood or a detriment to nearby properties. Whether the benefits sought by the applicant can be achieved by a feasible alternative to the variance. Whether the requested variance is substantial. Yes.
That's with an asterisk that circumstances have dictated.
Yes. Would the variance have an adverse impact on the physical or environmental conditions in the neighborhood?
No.
Whether the alleged difficulty was self-created. No, I guess not, because again,
Even in ideal case, I would say that they could not fill this, let's say, between the house and the
right, and again, it's kind of an extension of that.
Yeah.
Um, so we need a motion to.
No, this wasn't a public hearing.
Uh,
I'm just making.
Oh,
I have all
okay.
the, oh, yeah, right, all right. I'll make a motion to grant Joseph Tersini 270 South Shore Road, Lansing, SBL 35.10-2-1.1, a east side. East side, I think.
Yes.
The east side yard, 18-foot variance. The construction of an extension to the house, 10 by 26 addition. I don't remember, was it 1.5 story, 1 story?
One story.
One story,
The house is. technically 2 story.
but the addition is a 1 story.
Upstairs, but this will be one floor, 1 story.
That's, so it's a 10 by 26 1 story addition dwelling. Per the findings of 14.5.2E, is that right, or is there something?
Yeah, that's just a general statement regarding,
Yeah, so 7.1.602
oh, yes.
of the town of Williamsburg code, provided that a building permit be obtained within 6 months and all other aspects of the ordinance be met.
Second. Okay, Jonathan?
Aye.
Dan? Aye. Matt? Aye. Charles? Me? Okay, all good.
I do have a question before you move on, and
Okay.
maybe it's not appropriate to ask, or maybe I should ask it at the building department, but we've asked for a 10-foot wide extension. I didn't know, does that include, because I don't want to, I know in Florida, when I went to do some work on my home in Florida, I didn't include it and I had to. If there's an overhang, an eave, does that come into that or not? Oh, all right, I just wondered, because in Florida, that does. And so it would then be another foot over unless I narrowed the room by a foot. So I just want to make sure that I'm okay.
Yeah, for our purposes, again, it's kind of based on the footprint.
Okay, I just wanted to verify that before.
But just because like the foundation or the footprint is more permanent than an overhang, because you could always modify that. So then, again, try to stick with that
Again,
aspect.
I'm fine and I'm happy with your answer. I just wanted to make sure I understood before I proceed any further. Because I have an architect involved and I got a mason involved and I got, all these people involved, and I just want to make sure that I don't come up with a drawing that is beyond what you're allowing.
Right, well, Chris should have already worked this out with you, or at least understood what you were intending to do. So now you're gonna go back to him and get the actual building permit.
Right, yes. I have to do that. I know it takes 24, 48 hours, whatever, for everything to go through, and then I can go apply for the building. Yeah, I went through that when I put the garage.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're all set for us here.
Very good, thank you.
Okay,
Yes, right. Now all I gotta do is go rob a bank.
Honey, do you want your water or no? Okay. Yes.
Sorry, anyway, you're up.
Okay,
And again, I think we had initially looked at like a garage construction that you originally intending, but you modified it. And I think ultimately we came up with would require a 21-foot variance.
It's exactly 20 foot from the property line. I measured it again today. So 21 foot is perfect.
Well, there's actually only 20-foot variance. But what you had wrote on your initial map. was
Yeah, well, I didn't know,
Yeah, okay.
what I did is I took transit out and I put a couple of more pins in. And I measured, she made me measure it today. And it's exactly 20 feet.
Right. And again, originally you were gonna have the two bays basically side by side.
Yeah,
That's
now
what
I
it took.
took, I cut it in half and moved one behind the other.
Okay,
And that gained us like 5 feet
okay,
from the, okay? So that's where we're at.
okay. So then again, based on the 20 feet, you're just seeking a 20-foot variance.
Yes.
Okay. All right, so we're all in agreement. That's what we're looking at. Okay. So I'm going to make a motion that we open a public hearing regarding the variance request.
Second.
Thank you. Charles? Dan?
Aye.
Jonathan?
Aye.
Okay. And again, so it doesn't, unless somebody else is here to speak on this particular matter. All right,
When we close public hearing.
Dan,
Aye.
Matt,
Aye.
you, fine, okay.
How far is the second garage from your rear property line? You have a
Oh,
lot of space.
150 feet,
Yeah. it's-
really way back.
Yeah.
It's only a 1.5 acre way back lot that we're sitting right in the middle of it.
We also did receive a county referral regarding this request, and they deferred to our consideration. Just about to do. I want to run through the findings as well. The first would be whether an undesirable change be produced in the character of the neighborhood or a detriment to nearby properties. Whether the benefits sought by the applicant can be achieved by a feasible alternative to the variance. Yes, it was. Whether the requested variance is substantial.
Now that it's down to 20 feet, no.
No. Okay. Would the variance have an adverse impact on the physical or environmental conditions in the neighborhood? Was the alleged difficulty self-created? No. Other than, again, there was a desire to have the garage as proximate to the houses. Okay, so we can say yes with an asterisk then.
Yes, that's pretty usual.
That's an answer for usual.
There you go. Okay. That being said, we need a motion regarding the variance request for this application.
Make a motion to grant, what do you like? 4609, the Williamsburg Church Road. Like Williamsburg?
Thanks.
Yeah.
Okay, and, PL 33.00-2-9. Side yard setback variance of 20 feet. To construct a, two garages for, how much? Five, 15 garages. Conforming to section 14.2B, providing, so section. Two parentheses. Providing building permit to obtain in 6 months and all other aspects of the building. All. So.
Dan?
Hi.
Okay, you're all set.
All right,
All right.
folks.
Thank you for being patient.
This, thank you, guys.
Thank you, yeah.
There's a little bit of a problem. We're all. Have a good one. Yeah, it's half up.
You can take a ride by.
Yeah, well, that was what it was for, is this way. It's half and half, the half. She was worried about me.
Stealing her property.
It's okay.
We went with her.
Have a good one, folks.
Yeah.
So now,
Love you all. Thanks a lot for diligence.
now Chris had initially issued a, well, no, you had not gotten. a building
No,
permit.
that's the problem. We didn't get the permit. I'll go,
You need to see him, so you can.
I'll see him tomorrow or next day.
Yeah.
When's this day?
Now, he'll get the,
Is working tomorrow? Is the?
I hope so.
Tomorrow is the federal holiday.
Well, that's
The federal holiday is the office open.
How about next week?
Thursday.
Thursday. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, thank you.
Have a good one.
all right, good luck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good luck, folks.
Jennifer Luisi, how do you pronounce your last name? Luisi, okay. You're up next. If you want to just give us an idea of what you're looking to do.
My husband's there.
So basically, we're looking to put in a 2-car garage. Basically, I'm kind of unclear about where you guys pull your denotation from the road. Is it 30 foot from the center line is when you start your variance measurements, or is it from the center line that you start your variance measurements?
There should be a front property line.
Which is off of the center line, that starts at 20 or 30 feet. It's just, I'm unclear of the measurements I want to give you. They all hinge on where you guys start your measurements from. Is it from the center line of the road, or is it
Your
from?
property line is not always consistent. Where the property line is, depending on the road and when it was built and what the right of way was and all of that.
Right.
You know where the pins are?
Yep.
Okay, that would be.
All right, so from,
We're going
Yes.
from your property line
Yeah.
regardless of the road.
okay, so from pin to pin, off of that line, I want to do a 40-foot variance from the front road, and then a 20-foot variance from the property, if you're looking at our lot from the road, it would be on the right side, which we own anyway. I mean, it's a joint property with her parents and us, so.
But for the purposes of this construction and variance, it would be unique to the
just to 2409 Batter Street.
Yeah.
In line with my parents' garage that they just built.
So
Okay.
the variance that they just applied for would be the same frontage of
Yeah.
that garage. Makes it easier. I don't want to stretch the limit too much. I would love to be closer to the road, but it's not gonna happen.
But that does, because it has an impact on the character of the neighborhood,
Sure.
so.
Your pins are 25 feet.
That's what I kind of figured as much. It's like
Yeah.
right on that fringe. Yeah. Off of our property line is the 40 foot that I want to set.
Now, this is a separate
Yes.
building.
Yep.
Okay,
A garage.
yes,
Yeah, so the house is here and then the.
right. There was a reference made to, you know, an undersized lot, but it doesn't come into play because
It's not a dwelling.
it's not a dwelling, so. Well, this is R2, right, and it should at least have been, yeah. But it doesn't really have, unless, I mean, it doesn't cover, I don't know, what is 30% of the lot. That would be the only other consideration.
Is it a two-story garage?
Would have storage on the second floor, gambrel roof.
Oh, yeah.
We didn't take out a building together and anything. Approval, so.
This is something on the north.
Yes,
picture.
Yeah.
This is the better way to do it. Yeah.
The one with on the pictures is the other.
Oh.
Quite honestly, put that around. That's one of the prefab Mohawk Valley shed company, you know, Route 24.
Should it have a sales picture of the building?
I don't know.
No, we don't need it right now, it's saying.
Yeah,
But next month, what,
I didn't know we needed that until we took the permit out. Or I would have actually gotten all that.
well, what will happen is we'll figure out if you need anything else tonight. We'll set a hearing for next month. And by that before the hearing.
Yeah. But if it's, as you say, 24 by 24, because we'll base, again, the variance dimensions on that. Well, it looks like their leach field,
Oh, is that the lead? Okay.
Yeah.
Road instead of,
um, and again, it probably, you know, probably makes more sense to stay as far away as you can, so.
take that into consideration.
It's a big deal. I think that is.
We were just noticing that there's an indication of where the leach field is. Right,
Further down the property, I am roughly from the inside edge of that 24 would be 60 feet away from the beach field.
Okay, well, what's the 50-foot turn on this? We were just trying to figure out what that 50-foot was, and we decided that was from the.
Oh, yes, it's 50 foot. from
Okay,
the-
okay, that's what we thought.
Yep.
That's.
Right.
Oh, to 80-foot front, 40-foot side, right?
right, so it's,
So, all right, that was 50.
west side.
And that's the west side.
Makes sense?
Everyone's clear?
Gotta go over the seeker. ZBA hereby determines that this request for setback and lot line variances are an exempt type 2 action pursuant to Title 6 NYCRR, Section 671.5 C16, and no further action pursuant to seeker is required.
It was good.
Dan?
Aye.
Matt?
Aye.
Charles? Yeah, actually, yes, July 16th.
I will move, we set a public hearing for, Jennifer Uzi, 2409 Batter Street, SBL 34.2-25 for front and side yard variances to be held July 16th, 7 PM or soon thereafter, that they can be heard.
Dan?
Aye.
Charles?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. So you're all set for now? Yeah, it would be nice to have a little more details on the actual garage construction.
Bring that with us next time, or you had to go through the whole process and bring it to the.
Bring it to the town hall and I'll distribute it to them sometime.
Right.
Between now and. And now and July 4th weekend.
We usually do a drive-by or look at the property.
Thank you.
Okay, so we'll see you next time then.
Okay.
Have a good night, appreciate it.
Gentlemen, how we making it?
So far, so good.
And there was one.
Are any of you familiar with the movie Papillon?
Yes.
Haven't
Do
seen
you
it.
do you remember the scene when the Council of Cardinals says to him, guilty, and there he's hazing out, and there's 5 cardinals in front of him. And Steve McQueen says, I didn't kill no pimp. No, your sin is a greater crime than anyone could think. He says, what is it? You're guilty of a wasted life. All I'm seeing is the Council of Cardinals. I'm the one guy here. No, I'm not getting. With the way the Pope is these days, I don't think anybody wants that kind of.
So we will allow them to build on Devil's Island.
Yes, that's right.
There you go.
Get a butterfly on my chest, the whole night. No, if you look it up on YouTube, it's very powerful. Great. Well, Papillon, that was the 70s. In fact, Dustin Hoffman was maybe 5-6 years after The Graduate. That was early 70s.
I thought you were gonna relate that scene where they were, I think they were on the run and they ran into that guy in the bush there and his face was all tattooed.
Oh, the bald guy
And
there.
they just looked at him and he said, well, I got really drunk, or something to that effect, yes.
He was the biker in Any Which Way You Can. He did well with the bald head. He
Interesting.
parlayed it up.
Don't put entertaining those watching my mind.
Oh, yeah, that's right, I forget, we are being.
Oh,
Yes.
so that made it worse, right? Hopefully we can edit.
Actually, you can't do it because it becomes.
It's a public record.
Yes,
Sure.
so we just need to be careful about what is conveyed. That's right.
Time in perpetuity, as the
Yes.
Latins would say. Oh, God.
Yes, well,
zooming away.
um, okay, why don't you give us, kind of an overview?
Quick overview, the lot is it's almost a football field. It's approximately 240. It's exactly 238 long by 60 wide. It's one of the larger of the oversized lots. By the way, my name is Victor Procopio. Very nice.
Oh,
to meet
that's
you
right,
guys.
yes, we
Very
skipped the
nice to
more
meet you.
formal
Yep.
introductions here.
And you guys all have name tags, so I'll just give you my info. So the lot is 60 and working with Corey, it's one of the larger of the undersized lots. They're 40 and 50, most of them. So the lot itself is 60 by 238 and change, so we'll round up to 240. There's an existing bungalow on it. There's existing storage outbuildings on it as well. In the back, I would like to put up a garage. I'm a plumber by trade. I've tried to retire. Unfortunately, I've been called out of retirement. And my parents are, I rent presently an old Price Chopper semi-trailer, a tractor trailer for storage. I own it, but I rent the space that's underneath it, kind of like a mobile home park. Anyways, I've got Oriental rugs, I got cedar chest. I'm a single man. I got 35 place settings in China. Don't need any of it. Can't sell any of it. So I'd like the storage space upstairs, and honestly, I have no idea what I'm gonna do with it, but it's costing me $200 a month to keep it. And then for the downstairs, I have a problem with German cars. And I have my plumbing van, my Toyota pickup, my Jeep Wrangler, and then the Porsches and my GTI. So I'd like to be able to stuff them all in the back. And that's pretty much the overview. The building itself is a Harvest Home prefab, and its dimensions are 40 feet wide on a 60-foot lot. I believe I would be requesting a 10-foot variance on each side. And then I'm coming in 30 feet from the property line, and it goes back 45 feet deep. And it's a one floor with attic trusses, and it has, I believe, 9-foot doors instead of standard 7-foot doors, because my Ford Transit is 110 inches. And it wouldn't fit the standard with the plumbing bed.
Your bungalow is one story.
There's another floor on it, and I could do jumping jacks up there. Gentlemen of your significant carriages would hit your head. I don't think you'd make it up the stairs before you took it in the noggin.
Garage be taller than the house.
I don't believe so, but I would have to take measurements before I could give you a definitive answer. And I have the plans right here from Harvest Home, so I have the actual dimensions, and I could easily I could answer that. I could send an email Thursday.
They're close.
I would think so. I would think it would be close. Well, and no, because I'm on a slab on the garage. So I'm up 3 feet in a crawl space on the bungalow. So I got 8-foot walls on the bungalow. So then you pick up another 18 inches with your joists. If I have 10-foot walls because of the garage door and then the joists, it'd be pretty close. But I think, again, because of the actual 3 feet of crawl space versus the slab, I think the garage would be lower. But again, I have all the engineered plans. I could give you a very definitive answer after Juneteenth. I can send it.
So the house is what is closer to the road?
Yes, oh, God, yes. This is in the backyard. I'm not going anywhere near the road.
Is there a semblance of like a driveway?
Presently, I have a one-car garage on the bungalow. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna keep the existing footprint, tear it down, or not tear it down, keep the existing footprint, go higher so that I can put garage doors on either side, and then I'm gonna go back and forth through it.
Okay, so when it all's said and done, what are they gonna be the existing structures that are going to remain?
The house and the outbuildings.
Okay, the outbuildings being,
They're like, I don't know if you would characterize them as wood storage sheds, and I'd be happy to I'll put pictures in the file, but they're footprints of sheds that are there and they're a bit dilapidated. But they are a footprint, that's the reason I didn't take them down. And I plan on heating with wood, so I'm going to make them watertight, probably a steel roof, and that'll be my wood hutch.
Space behind your house there, that's an abandoned road.
There's an abandoned road, but, oh no, it's a street.
Abandoned.
I guess they abandoned it. I haven't seen any conquistadors floating down it. I looked. I'm still being old.
The age of the existing home is,
I have the deed right here, it could very well be able to tell me. I would say just from the construction, 50s. Office of Schenectady County Clerk, instrument number, yada, 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 fees, transfer tax, yada, yada, yada. County of Schenectady, July 26, 1912. Titanic went down. That's the land for the deed. That's the deed for the land. So I don't know, and that is recorded with the Snells, the previous owners. So I don't know after 1912 when the house may have been erected. And since there's no poll register or anything, other than talking to the building department, Mr. Gage, I have no idea how you would gauge it.
I'm just wondering, is like this a newer construction,
The house or the garage?
the house?
Oh, God, no, it's existing.
Right,
And it's been there, when you bought it when?
This coming September, I believe will be my September 1st, I believe my third or fourth year.
okay,
It's long before, it's in the house, was there long before you
I
bought
would like to think so.
yeah. But you say.
Oh, I understand what you're asking. No, I had nothing to do with its creation. I was bought an existing house that people had lived in. The Snells were there. I believe it told me at least 3 decades.
Okay,
So that's probably the only gauge I could give you for the existence of the building.
all right, but it's not like, an old camp or
No,
something like
no,
that.
it's got a heating system where fortunately, as I heard you mention a leach field with the Louises, one of the beauties of Mariahville is their septic, or their sewers with grinder pumps.
You're tied into the sewer system?
Oh, God, yeah. Oh,
Okay.
I have a Carnivore 2000, much better than the 1000, I would think.
Huh.
You gotta look at the build pad, it says it right there, like, it's the whole diner, Carnivore 2000. It's hilarious to look at this thing. Being a plumber, I find it fun, that's
They
all.
don't call them the Muffin Monster?
I don't, that may be a trademark, the Muffin Monster people may not allow its use.
Probably
You have to
not.
pay a licensing fee for said Muffin Monster.
So no,
It's
this
late.
is L1.
It's L1, it's
Yeah.
late, it's Gordon said. And that only comes into play if I'm, and not this is what I've told, and I could be very wrong, if I'm building with 100 feet of the lake and I'm nowhere near that.
No, you're on the other side of the road from.
And I have 30 feet on the lake, I'm 30 by 60 on my lake parcel, then I have the road, and the house is probably all of 70 feet back before it becomes a house. So I'm well past the 100 mark.
Right.
And I believe that's why that gentleman had to have the DEC okay,
Right.
because he was within.
Oh,
that.
yeah, he was right on the water side.
Oh, okay. Oh, interesting.
So at least according to this drawing here, it doesn't look like the proposed garage is gonna be any wider than the existing house.
In fact, because of the 1-car garage that goes off of the main house, it would be well within the plane of thinner than the house. Because if you're staring at the bungalow, I got maybe 2 feet from the property line from the Riley residence, then the Surzak residence, because of the existing porch, maybe 5 feet.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, because at least as,
It stays within the plane of the existing bungalow.
right.
See. So,
Right, because we can't,
because it's a 40 foot, that's not connected to the dwelling.
right, we can't prorate it, so.
Yes, that's, I was just checking on
No.
the feet, and that's.
Probably 1970s, Nelson.
Ooh, so it's 50 plus.
Yeah,
Interesting.
okay.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, I mean, you would in theory, I don't think there was a permitting process till probably in the 80s or 90s. If you own the parcel, you could put up machine gun tower, moats, sharks. There was nothing that you had to pretty much ask for.
That is true, and of course, that,
So how do you record it is the problem.
yeah, for the most part, people had seasonal.
Oh, just
accommodations.
historical cottage, sure.
Right, camps of that nature, and obviously now, you know, people are improving the camps and then.
Going full season, full year-round
Year-round
home.
living, yeah.
Sure.
It makes it a little problematic because, now, if this was the, you know, the dwelling, we could prorate the required setbacks. I mean, yeah, 60-foot wide lot or 60-foot, yeah. Because now I think they're supposed to be at least 100 feet wide. But again, when the lots were created, this was 35.
And then.
Oh, Christ, yeah,
One
so,
one of the questions you would ask the other applicants about changing the character of the neighborhood. If you look in the picture, I don't know what you got, I put together 8 applications, but there's colored pictures in there. My neighbor has pretty much the same Colossus that I'm looking for. But if you drive down Weiss Road away from the bodega, there's like airplane hangars. I mean, I'm not asking for anything that's out of the.
no, that's, and again,
But I understand what you're saying. The new rules state X, Y, Z.
so, the square footage of the existing dwelling is,
I didn't calculate it, but if I had to do quick, I'm about 45 feet back, and I'd say wide-wise, do you include the garage or is it living space? Square footage wise?
it would, whatever the footprint is.
Whatever the footprint's all at 2,000 square. Well, because the back room alone is 25 by 30, so there's 700, and then there's the rest of the house.
The lot coverage, yeah, at least we would need to see what that would entail.
The garage you're looking for is 45 by 45.
40 by 45, please. So we're looking at 1,800. And I believe even with the footprint of the house, it doesn't exceed the 30% rule. Because as I said, the lot's like a football field. And then the next question,
4,000, I give it 36.
do you include the 30 by 70 postage stamp that's on the other side of Weiss in your calculations? Because in theory, my deed reads that's part of the lot.
That's a good question, yeah.
Yeah, the lot's the lot.
Yeah. Okay,
Danny, 400 square feet in for that shed.
gotcha. What is the nature of that existing, what are the existing utility building is,
Well, I believe it was a wood hutch before the trees went through the roof.
okay,
And so what I'd like to do is keep the existing footprint and do gravel and then either tech poles, and it needs to be dry for the wood. So if I do tech poles and then a corrugated metal roof, keeping the existing footprint. Even if I do crushed stone, I'm not gonna put a pad down. I'll do just number 2 crushed stone for drainage and then put plastic pallets on it. It should keep the wood in proximity to the house. White wood.
But it's not really a permanent structure, say, in the manner of what the garage will be and what the
No,
house is.
no, permanent structure, I believe that for, the definition is you have a port pad.
Right,
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
there's no pad.
okay. So that probably would be,
But I even added 36.
Right, but-
12 for that, and,
I
Yeah.
appreciate
and
that.
he's still under 30.
Yeah, I mean, if you just, you look at it as a football field, because it pretty much is, the structures don't even come in with 100 yards. If you're, yeah, just the math isn't there.
um. something that- And the depth of the lot is,
The full lot is 238 feet by 60. Since I have a deed, let's avail ourselves to it, because I think the pork chop on the beach is long as on top of
Okay.
that.
yeah, there is a reduced rear yard, component if the lot is less than 100 feet deep.
Oh, no. it's-
Right, so that,
If you would like, I'd be happy to read you the dimensions. Habita southerly in front of Lakeside Avenue, east as designated on said map, 60 feet along the same. Westerly by lot number 16 is designated on said map, 238 and 2/10. I don't know what the hell they're doing with the 2/10. North side Hillside Avenue, and then we're 60 feet by 203, 236 and a half, and then we have the pork chop on the front, we're 60 feet by 30 feet.
all right, so
Those are the
that's
dimensions.
not really something that would come into play.
No. I don't believe so.
Uh, This is what it says, when a lot is less than 100 feet deep at the time of the passage of this ordinance, such rear yard may be decreased by 1/4 of the distance that the lot depth is less than 100 feet. But again, because it's beyond, it's not something that will be considered. However, the no rear yard shall be less than 15 feet in depth, and that any accessory building may be close as 6 feet from the rear property line.
And I believe I've indicated, sorry to interrupt you, Mr. Gage, that I'm 30 feet from the rear property. line.
Okay, yeah. All right, so. So you're 30 feet from the rear property
From the
line,
abandoned stream.
right? And the requirement, and that fence there is what is the rear of the property?
Oh, no, the fence in the pictures is my neighbor, Mr.
Just-
Riley.
Oh,
Just how you-
If we're staring at my dwelling, to the left is Mr. Riley with the fence, to the right is Mr. Sturznak without a fence.
okay, and there's nothing in the back fence wise?
There's nothing in the back. The stream in theory is, according to the deed, the property line.
All right, so again, it's 40 all around the lake property, so. Request for the rear yard variance would be 10 feet,
Right,
okay?
and then 30 each. on Side.
Thirty foot side And that's both sides? I mean,
On each
it's-
side, yes, the structure is 40 feet wide. I have a 60-foot lot, so I have 10 feet on either side, so 10 minus 40 is 30, please. Even with the common core.
Yeah, okay. Well,
We've come back to,
yes,
which is what we're supposed to be doing. That's it.
okay. Um. And this is a 3-bay garage, correct?
Please.
That's what the house was,
Right.
we did it. Yeah. Yes.
I'm just thinking, I mean, if the house were narrower, then we might be inclined to ask that the garage become a
Tighten it up.
2-bay.
Sure.
Yeah.
that makes sense.
But it looks like it's gonna keep.
Very much so, and again, I have no problem emailing with pictures, the actual width of the bungalow with both the porch on the Sarzek side and the one-car garage on the Riley side. And if height is a question, I have no problem taking pictures.
It would be good to have that for our records.
I'll
yeah.
make sure I get it done by Friday.
Well, yeah, by then or by the next meeting.
It is needed
Yeah.
before July 6th.
Okay, I'll make sure.
This makes sense? You know what we're looking at?
I'll hang a 2x4 and a plumb bob off the roof. No, seriously. I'll get that.
Yeah.
No, I've been up there clearing the trees and it's shiplap. Not so much worried about falling off. I mean, I'm not the size 5 I once was. I don't want to fall through the thing. And then have to put a new roof on. Yeah, it's dicey. Gonna need a roof sooner rather than later. Then I'll be in front of you guys. Well, no, a roof. So I'm gonna put up new trusses. The shiplap is, I mean, it's bowed. There's no reason to put ice water and paper on the existing. So I'll talk with either you guys or the building department to see if I need a permit to put in trusses and rafters.
Yeah, we definitely somebody do
That
that.
I've heard of, but I can't imagine there'll be a zoning issue.
No.
No, it's existing.
Yeah. Um, We're the zoning board of appeals and it's primarily for exception to the rules or the ordinances say. All right, I want to just do the seeker. CBA hereby determines that the request for setback and lot line variances are an exempt type 2 action pursuant to Title 6 NYCRR, Section 671.5C16, and that no further action pursuant to seeker is required. Jonathan? Aye. Matt? Aye. Charles?
Aye. The eyes have.
And last but not least, we need to set a public hearing for this request.
I make a motion to set a public hearing on July 16th, 7 PM or thereabout, for Victor Popio, we got 2400 East Road. SPL 35.06-3-22. Seeking a variance of a 30-foot side yard variance and 10-foot rear variance to construct a 24 by 24 garage. Two 30-foot side yard variances on each side. Under section 7.1.6 of section 2 and section 7.1.6 of section 4, Town of Waynesburg zoning ordinance.
Second.
one correction, I think the garage is 40 feet wide.
40 feet wide by 45 feet deep, please.
Because it's
24,
three-bay. Yeah.
The lot is 60 feet wide, please. Very nice job on the pronunciation of my last name, Mr. Bonds. Right off the chute, very nice. I figure Mr. Leone would have pulled it off, but obviously the Bonds did it.
I've been named before, Lloyd, I don't remember.
Oh, interesting.
Okay, other than that, yeah, if you could bring us more detail on the
No
existing,
problem. I'll get exact measurements of the width from garage to porch, and I will take a picture. I'll get a plumb bob, I'll hang a furring strip off, I'll make sure it's level, drop it and measure it.
the consideration with the height, and again, it doesn't look like it would necessarily come into play here. If there, somebody's lake view all of a sudden became
There's nobody
obscure.
behind me. If I stare at the house and you're perfect in my lot, there's no one behind me. To the left of Mr. Riley's property, there's someone behind him. But again, it's not in the plane of view of the lake, number one. Number two, they sit up, I believe it's
The
hillside
grade
Avenue.
goes up, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so they look over it. I mean, I could put up the Leaning Tower of Pisa, they're still gonna see Mariahville. I'm just saying it could be that tall. So I don't know how that could come into play. And again, this is one story. This is nothing, that's just one story.
Again, we need to take that into consideration, especially lake views. And again, so at the public hearing, your neighbors will be notified, they have the opportunity to come and
Mhm.
speak if they so choose, and then.
And then
go
I
from
could
there.
say, it's the same, it's less than the height of the house. It's not impairing anybody's view.
Okay,
And that would be the argument to be made. And you sit above it 150 feet, whatever the topographicals are.
so for now, you're set and we'll.
Gentlemen, I can't thank you enough. Thank you for letting me keep you till 8:07 on a 100-degree night. See you in a month, and I will get that information. I believe, does that go to Corey or Chris?
Probably Chris.
Okay.
I think Corinne is still out. She may be back next month, but if not, definitely Chris. I think even Dale has been doing some of the,
Yes, I did meet them.
right, Dale Warner.
Mhm.
Yeah, so he's been filling in, so.
Coming out of retirement, they stay in the business. Gentlemen, very good. Thank you very much. I won't shake your hand. The rule is never shake a plumber's hand. And I think that's a good rule to keep for your own. I see you guys around the 16th, and thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, you too.
Matt, did you get the thermostat to adjust?
I did.
Okay, because when I looked at it, it looked like it was locked between 70 and 75.
Yeah, so there's a range within a certain time frame. Here, the range will.
Okay, good. Of course, now nobody's here, but anyway, it's comfortable. So let's just look quickly at the meeting minutes.
Not enough people, if I don't vote on this.
Well. I know you weren't here, but if you can still read it. Yeah, we still have more, but, you know,
Yeah, before, I mean,
well, you could do that, yes, right. I think the date for the public hearing is for,
The other public hearing on the 7th, definitely needs to
Yeah. And that was for both of them.
Yes. Oh, yeah, we should have been here last night for these meetings.
I forgot tomorrow was a holiday too.
But that's busy, don't work for the state.
Well, that's right. I don't work at all,
Right.
or at least not,
It is a holiday for you.
yes, oh, and it's a kind of a wonderful thing.
You heard that first.
You know, it's funny, well, I don't know, but, I ended up getting 2 pension payments.
Oh, yeah. I like that too.
But she
They
did,
took
yeah,
one back.
and, well, they quickly sent out a notice that, you know,
Not your money.
you were paid 2 in error and not to consider the second, as some kind of found money, yeah, don't
We're
spend it.
taking it back.
That's right. All right. I don't think I'm seeing anything other than the incorrect dates. Oh, that's right, and yeah, the meeting minutes, and I had a chance to talk to Dale about that. Because he came up with minutes based on reviewing the Zoom, I think, or something. And then I had also provided some based on having been there and stuff.
Yeah.
And anyway, so those were the minutes that were accepted. This is, for the March meeting. So somebody wants to make a motion about accepting the minutes?
All right, with the amendment of the dates of the public hearings, June 17th. So.
Second. Dan? Or actually, Jonathan?
Aye.
Aye. Matt?
Aye.
Dan?
Understand.
Charles?
Aye.
Me, aye, okay, and it's good. So what I had done regarding the recommendations for the accessory building. You want to look at that? Kind of addressing the questions that were originally posed. Well, I put that in because I couldn't remember. We can, when we get there, we'll discuss that, but, so the thought was that we would cover, in answer to the first question, the 60-foot to 144 square feet. And then a 12-foot height maximum. And the reason I say this, I have a 10 by 14 gambrel roof shed. I went out and measured it, and including the pad, it's probably 11.5 feet, so I said 12. You know, just so nobody comes up with some kind of building that, you know, goes beyond 12 feet.
Tree house, tree stand. Well, that's gonna be a lot higher than 12 feet.
Well, but
the
that's-
building itself, the stand
We're
itself
talking
won't be
about
12
accessory
feet high.
buildings.
And who's building, well, okay, tree house.
That's,
But the size of the actual construction is here.
So you're measuring from floor to ceiling.
Right.
So it should say from floor to ceiling.
well,
And 12 is kind of short.
Question whether it's above grade or above.
we're talking about like accessory buildings, the ones that, but,
Way it says to be fine,
yeah,
unless you get hyper specific. Really basing it on, it is a construct less than 144 square feet. Right,
Okay.
so by that definition, there's plenty of tree stands that'll fit that.
but no, we're talking accessory buildings. And
No, Nelson. You
Okay.
can't just call something something. You have to give it
all right, well, go back,
detailed
yeah, but look,
definitions.
look in the definition of a building in the zoning ordinance. Because I wouldn't even have taken into consideration, say, a tree house or,
Because that's not what you're thinking of, but under the wording, you know,
I can understand a
okay.
under definition of thinking a tree house is
All right,
probably.
accessory structure or use, is it subordinate and serves a principal building or a principal use, located on the same lot as the principal structure,
But it contributes to the comfort of the occupants.
there are people who build tree houses
Yes,
as, you know, like reading rooms.
okay?
I don't see how you're gonna define a tree house outdoor. The tree stand, and I'm thinking hunting stand. I
That's
don't
my
think-
point.
I don't think.
That's why I'm saying,
But if you just make it floor to ceiling, nobody's gonna build a 15-foot floor to tree house. This was Stanley Robinson, maybe, but,
that's what I'm saying, that you would have, if you're gonna say height, you need to add something like floor
for
to
the
ceiling.
ceiling, and I don't see a problem with that, I think.
Because one of the requirements for, and again, these buildings, is that you provide like a base, I don't know, usually some kind of, you know, stone, and then it's more or less. Right, yeah, and that's primarily what we're.
Primarily, but it's gonna take other things.
There's plenty of like wood sheds that are just up on a block. They're built straight on the ground.
Okay, so then, again, the height consideration is what we're at least addressing. So again, in the one case that initiated this, that height of that building was such that it became, you know, it obscured a neighbor's view.
It's less than 12 feet.
It may be, but at 12 foot, but I'm thinking, again, a 10 by 40, because that's what I have. Because if you go over 144 square feet, then you're required to have gotten a building permit. So. And again, at least based on the measurements of mine, because I figured, well, this is as big as it can get, say, until you make that, you meet that threshold that you are required. I hadn't thought about the other, your consideration, and that has some merit, but when I'm thinking building, and it says a structure wholly or partially enclosed within exterior or like party walls and a roof designed to shelter persons, animals, or property. So, I don't know.
Which is where I would think a tree house counts for the stand wood. Yeah. I mean, that gets the stand out of it.
I'm thinking-
And also, a tree stand is less than 60 square feet. That's
Yeah.
what I, well,
I'll tell
10
you what I
by,
had in mind. My dad built a tree stand. It was really house up a big oak tree that was, you know, it was a tree house for that's the purposes, but the purpose of the building was for deer hunting.
okay, but anyway, depending on where that tree is, again, the concern also is where it's going to require and be subject to setbacks. So anything that, again, 60 to 144 square feet, you know, is going to have setbacks. At least that's what
Oh,
we're
but I can
proposing.
imagine the couple that started this.
Well,
Starting to do that sort of thing, just.
all right. And then, again, at least, you know, it has a 12-foot height maximum. Period. And again, I think we came up with a limit on the accessory buildings on a lot. And I think we picked 3 being the number. And I think
guess
Chris
you
had
can
an input on
variance.
that, yeah.
Farms are gonna have a lot more than that. And depending on what you're using here, yeah.
But again, if they're
Variances
buildings,
can be granted.
right,
But shouldn't it be tied to acreage?
well, that's a thought, because, all right, if you go to the next thing, setback specific for these accessory buildings. The thought was that 10 feet for R2. These are lots that are basically, I don't know, 2.2 acres. All the other lots, the R1, the lake lots, 1 and 2, and Hamlet, all those lots are 1 acre. And so the thought was then the 5-foot setbacks would be appropriate for those.
Yeah, I'm not in favor of the setbacks at all. I'm never gonna be in favor of that.
Okay, well, that's fine.
I'm going to build a 12-foot fence.
Right. Yeah.
And get around the fence rule.
Right. I mean, I can see, this would make more sense if it's tied to acreage. Like 3 per 2 acres or something. Since 2.2 acres is the size that, the minimum size that.
And again, these are just recommendations, but I agree.
Yeah. Then if you have 4 acres, you can have 10.
And, so you have a small farm or hobby farm.
But actually, you could have more. Well, let's see. Well, I have to think about maybe to, I don't know, fine tune that. Because the issue is the concern proximity to a property line. So, maybe limiting 3 to within, say, if you have 50 acres, especially R2, that's a minimum lot is only 2.2, but most of us, I mean, we're R2, but we own almost 4 acres. So.
I had this little triangle behind the neighbor's house. This exists to bring us up.
So, is everybody comfortable with at least what we have here as that's why I call this a draft.
So, yeah, I mean, a height, as long as it's specified as something like 4 feet to the roof or something, So you don't, or base
Yeah, because like I say,
base of the building to top of the building.
right, and 12 would,
That's reasonable, yes.
Yeah.
But it's saying too, well, I put my thing in a tree and now it's more than 12 feet.
well,
or
but
whatever.
that's a whole different thing then too, because if you put it in a tree, does the height of the tree or how?
Well, that's
far
what
is
we're
it?
saying, that's what we're saying is, no, you get
Base
12
of-
feet. No
Yeah,
matter how,
building.
no matter
You
how
get
you
up to
do
the
it.
building.
You
All
get
right.
12 feet of building.
But a tree house is a whole different. And again,
Well,
we can see how to address that.
Yeah.
I mean, part of it, going from a 60-foot to the 144, I mean, most of it, my understanding, the school bus shelters that kids, use, say, in inclement weather, a 10 by 6, that's a good size for a shelter like that. Most shelters are just enough for, 2 young people, say, or to be able to get shelter using, and they're not really fully enclosed, correct?
Right. Trying to, I've never measured it, I'm not sure how big the one is determined. It's over 144.
But is
That's the one I drive by every day. There's one out by the road that I think is there for that purpose.
Right, but that's not one individual's shelter, is it, or is it for the whole?
Well,
trailer?
I assume it's for all the kids in the trailer. Said I never asked. It's just there. I drive by it. I know it's there.
As far as prorating setbacks for pre-existing undersized lots, I put down no. I think it would make this more complicated than it need be. Maybe it could be addressed at another time.
Oh, okay. That's just for the sheds there. I thought it's how we were going to recommend to the board.
Right,
To extend the proration for undersized lot beyond dwelling. So that we could
yeah,
deal with the garage on the other side lot without worrying about, well, he's not living in it, so now he's stuck.
I don't know, that just seems, for the purpose of what,
Yeah,
Just
yeah,
initially-
while we were doing
Yeah.
this, that was something that
Yeah.
should be recommended. Yeah.
and then the last thing, again, section 15 in the ordinance, and I looked at it, it looks like there's plenty there for, the code inspector to work with if he decides that something is out of compliance. And again, this is not going to be grandfathered because there may be other circumstances where people have already had stuff in place for the longest time. I just don't think that, again, Chris has enough to do. We don't need to make more work for him. It is going to be somewhat more problematic because, and that's the other thing, is that I went to the shed manufacturers and outfits, and some of them say that, acknowledge that, zoning, depending on where you are, might be a consideration, and they said they would take care of the building permit process. And again, I guess it's somewhat by default that 144 square foot is what requires building permits. Again, we kind of just went along, anything less than 144 square feet don't require building permits. And I would, I don't know, again, that would just create more work. There's got to be some way, I guess, to address this in a way that, we don't have a situation that came up and originally initiated this. Because at least at that point, say if somebody, saw some kind of construction that they felt had an impact on their property, they could, bring it to the building inspector's attention, like what was done, but, he had no means to, address it because there was nothing in the ordinance that said, well, if it's less than 144 square feet, what can be done about it? So. Charles, any thought on this? Well, okay, because actually the next thing is to send this at least to Teresa and let her look at it because, to see if there's anything that we're, seriously overlooking. Matt, what are your, any thoughts on it or?
Agreed to that. Reasonable.
Okay, all right. So in the meantime, then, if you think of anything, just, shoot me an email. I mean, to be honest, I wasn't so sure how the discussion regarding this matter should be conducted. Whether it did fall under open meetings law or we can convey this information back and forth via our town emails or the like.
Well, I'm sure that
It's-
we can discuss it as board members.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, if it comes up to the planning,
Well, it's gonna go to the town
to
board.
the town board,
Yeah.
then it's in open forum at that point.
Right.
This is just preliminary.
Exactly. So again, maybe. So we still have, again, this is like I said, this is a draft. If there's anything else we may want to, consider, then so be it. If not, if I decide that maybe, anyway, if I decide something else that might flesh out what we somewhat discussed here, I'll just send it out to everybody and see, does this still make sense to us? Okay. That's enough of this.
Run up the flagpole, see who's.
Well, right, but, I don't want to belabor this because otherwise, we are and have been working on it, but it is what it is. All right, anything else of note, nature, that,
I didn't sign in. Was there a sign in?
Oh, that's the other thing, right. All right, you know what? Sign this, that's what I did last time because, we did not have an official sign-in sheet, but I did. And to the town hall took, some other paperwork, including something that we signed to indicate who was, on board.
I make a motion that we.
Music to our ears.
Aye.
Aye. Charles? Aye. All right, me, aye. All right, thank you. That game only started at 8 o'clock, so.
There was nothing in the bottom of the second.
Oh, all right. Playing much better baseball.
As much fun as last time.
Well,
They were up 7-0 by now, yes.
You everything here, Nelson?
Yeah, you know, I'm gonna do that because I'm gonna take my stuff, but, I thought,